What's going on, everyone? Steve from Tech Media Reviews, joined by Balkan Ragnar. And today is the big day. Today was the announcement from Microsoft, their big game showcase. And here today, we're going to discuss everything that went down. And let's just dive right into it.
Wonderful introduction there, Canadian Steve. I thought we would maybe structure it in a way that we talk about three things that we liked, three things that maybe we thought were okay, and then three things that we just flat out didn't like.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with some good things, I guess. You want to start, or you want me to get the ball rolling?
You go right on ahead, because I don't have much good things to say.
Okay, that's what I thought. But here, all right. Let's start with the obvious. Given that all the games that were shown today are going to be available on Xbox Game Pass or are free to begin with, that's pretty huge. I do like that, and I think that's very consumer friendly. I don't have to dish out, $80 or $100 Canadian now for each game that I want to play. Are there that many games I want to play that I saw? Maybe not, but it is good for what I'm seeing in the future. I really liked what I saw from the Medium. It looked like the only game that was shown today that merits a new console, or that justifies rather having it. We can't do this on current gen. We need a new console. That was the only game I saw today that I thought, okay, I see where this is going with.
Right.
I also really enjoyed, this is more of a bonus, but Metal Jesus Rocks was on the pre-show.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's awesome. And finally, Obsidian divulged some information on their new IP. We don't know that much, but Avowed does look like it could be really cool. They have the backing from Microsoft, that philosophy we talked about in our last discussion. They have the reins to do what they want, and that's transparent on the part of Microsoft and Obsidian. So I like that. And that is about it in terms of what I really liked. There's some so-so, but is there anything you like from the show?
So to touch on your points, Game Pass that's definitely something that we knew going in, and I have to say that's definitely one of the incentives to being an Xbox gamer and owning Xbox Live, having that ability to have access to Xbox Game Pass. And as mentioned today in the showcase, that all these games that were presented today will be available through Game Pass, which is phenomenal. Because if I look back 3-4 years ago, and E3 would land, and we would get all these amazing titles, I would hop on the internet and go on Best Buy and look for those E3 deals just to save a couple of bucks on the games that I was really looking forward to. I don't have to do that anymore. I have that ability to just play those games at launch through Game Pass. And that's just amazing, because it saves me money, it saves me time, and just having that freedom and flexibility is just absolutely amazing. It does, I do reminisce a little bit about, having physical copies, but we have to move forward in life, and this is the way of the future. I definitely think that Obsidian Entertainment has delivered amazing titles in the past. They haven't, Fallout 76, not Fallout 76, Fallout New Vegas was a title that they worked on, and it was a fantastic game.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Exact, Knights of the Old Republic, and what's the other game I'm thinking of now? The Outer
Worlds.
Outer Worlds. I always screw up between the Outer Worlds and the Outer Wilds. I always screw that up. But the Outer Worlds, pardon me, is a fantastic game. I had the pleasure of playing that, and I'm really looking forward to the DLC that's going to be coming out in September. So I have no doubt that the next game that they're going to be presenting, or that's going to be dropping, is going to be a fantastic title. I really think that they take their time, and the quality control is definitely there. So yeah, I have to agree with you on those points. I wouldn't say they were their big standouts. I definitely think that Hellblade 2 is another title that I'm really looking forward to. I think this, the first game was fantastic, so the second game will definitely, I'm sure will follow suit. Little disappointed that we didn't get to see gameplay.
Save your negatives. Save your
Yeah.
negatives. Save your negatives.
So I was so much excited for this gameplay, but we'll get into that later. So yeah, no, that's
That's it.
Yeah, that's it for me. That's it for
All right,
me.
that's fair. That's fair. All right, well, how about we talk about three things that were so. I
Sure.
have three in mind, but I don't know. I don't know about you. Are they?
Well, we'll get into it. Let's see what you got here.
All right, so Halo. I think you're going to disagree with me on this one, but I didn't mind so much the what they showed. I didn't see enough, and this game is coming out this holiday. It's open world, so in what capacity? I don't know. Is it the whole ring? A buddy of mine and I were talking. He thinks it's going to be the whole ring. That could be cool. It's compelling. It's different. To that whole point we were talking about last time. What reason is there to go back to this universe? Let's see. I don't know. They didn't show enough for me to be like, oh my God, Right. But it is going to be for an open, whether it's semi-open world or whatever, 60 FPS 4K on the Series X, and they didn't divulge anything about multiplayer, but I have an inkling that it hopefully will be 120 FPS. So that's why I put it in the meh, because I don't know enough.
Right.
I'm going to move right along to Ori. They promised that it's going to be 120 FPS. That's amazing.
Yes.
But that's not a new game.
It's not a console seller.
Yeah. It's not a console seller. So that is a bonus. That should not be a selling point. As much as I loved Ori and the Will of the Wisps and the first Ori Ori and the Blind Forest, that is not the game that you say, this is, we have Halo and we have Ori this fall. It was already out,
Yeah.
I did really like that they're going to put out updates for Sea of Thieves, Gears of War, other Microsoft exclusives. That's awesome. I know that they almost had it at 120 FPS. They almost had Gears 5 at 120 FPS earlier this year. So that is impressive. But again, that's not a console seller.
No. And
finally, Everwild, the art design, the style, the atmosphere, everything feels right, but we didn't see gameplay. So again, that's like that should have been. I would have liked to see gameplay for that. So those are my three meh points. I don't know if you had any so.
Yeah. So definitely to touch on your earlier point about Halo, I definitely have to agree that this will kind of lean into more of my negative points that I want to touch upon later. The gameplay was, I have to agree, was really short. I think we're going on 3 years now that Halo Infinite was announced. So as you could imagine, there was a lot of excitement and a lot of hype going into this. And there's been a lot of talk about Slip Space Engine and a spiritual reboot. I didn't see that. This is why I'm saying it's leaning into the more of the negative aspect. I think I was just a little underwhelmed with what I saw. I'm excited for some of the titles, but nothing to make me jump over to next generation right away. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying most of my points that I have here today are mostly negative, and I don't want that to kind of intertwine with our so points. But yeah, I think I'm going to be the negative Nancy of this conversation today.
That's fine. That's that's well. I guess let's jump right into the
the
negatives. You
the
wanna you
grit,
wanna give me your negatives here?
the gritty.
Let's try and
Yeah,
keep it into. Let's compartmentalize it here. 3 parts if you can, because
definitely.
I have a few points myself. So
No problem. So, I mean, first, right off the bat, going back to Halo Infinite, um, I'm seeing a lot of people online right now that are having mixed feelings, and there's a lot of negativity surrounding a lot of comments right now. And that's what's, really unfortunate. And I mean, I grew up with Halo since the original Xbox, and there are certain decisions that are being made by 343 that I think they're trying to cater to everyone's needs and to every generation of Halo players. And I definitely see that they're trying to touch upon the art style, the direction of, let's say, Halo 1. So that atmospheric view that we got today of the Halo ring kind of brings you back to that Halo 1-esque feel. But then I'm looking at the art style. It looked exactly like a Halo 5 art style in terms of just how the characters acted, how they spoke. It just feels kind of arcadey in a way, and it just didn't show anything. If I look back when I was growing up and I saw the Halo 2 announcement and the Halo 3 announcements, these games were like they showed something new, and I didn't see anything new except just a huge amount of changes to character design, weapon designs. I did see that the Halo 2 battle rifle is making an appearance in this game, which is great. So, like I said, they're catering to a lot of the earlier generations and the new generations of Halo players, and it's just kind of making mixed vibes right now on the internet. And I have to say, I was very disappointed with what was shown. I think that this should have been a game that was going to sell the Xbox Series X. I just didn't get that. I definitely think that the gameplay was familiar. I'm not saying that the combat was terrible. The combat is it's always fun when you're playing Halo. I just felt like I was watching a Destiny clip mixed in with Halo. I just didn't see anything fresh, and it's unfortunate. Anyway, moving away from Halo, another negative point is the lack of gameplay. There was no gameplay other, than Halo, and some are saying medium that there was some gameplay in there, and I might have to go back and watch, but like, come on, and it's not just this year. It's not. I've been telling myself this for the last 3 years that Microsoft has got to stop with the world premieres, and then it's just these trailers, and then we're only going to see the game in 2 years from now. Most of the games that were shown today probably will only be released in 2 years, and I mean, how do you expect to sell a console when you can't even sell the game to anybody except just have a glorified trailer? And
that is true.
I was watching a Review Tech USA throughout the live stream, and he was absolutely disappointed throughout the entirety of the show. So I know I'm not the only one. And
No. I agree.
I just see no reason to why I should be upgrading to a Series X.
If I may interject for a moment before you get on back to your point, to put it very layman terms, they haven't sold us on why we should pick it up in fall. It's like
exactly
it's coming. Wait till 2021, end of 2021, maybe first quarter of 2022. Why am I going to dish out this money now to play Ori at 120 FPS? No. Sorry. Yeah, but you're right. I definitely agree with your first 2 points.
They might take a hit from sales because of this. I'm no expert when it comes to that kind of stuff. This is the first console ever that Microsoft will. Does it say I'll never get it? Absolutely not. But I mean, every console that Microsoft has announced, I've always been like, I gotta have this. This I need to have on day one. Like the Xbox One X, Scorpio edition. We both have that. We pre-ordered that as soon as it went live. I don't feel that similarity here, and I think I mentioned it in our previous video, where I just feel like this console feels more of an upgraded version of a One X. It doesn't feel like a new iteration of consoles, and today's game showcase just solidified that for me, where most of these games aren't coming out. And Phil Spencer, I know he said that Microsoft won't have any first party exclusives for this console for a while. So today just kind of just proved that point for me, that this console is just something to look forward to in the future. And I don't know, I'm just a little disappointed. And I guess the third point that I have is that, they had the opportunity to really show off the power of the Series X. And I don't know if it's because of what's going on in the world. I don't want to blame it on that. I definitely think that a lot of studios are working from home, and a lot of footage is definitely, these games are coming out soon, so they have to have something. And I didn't feel like I was being sold on it at all. Like, there was nothing. Even Halo looks like an acceptable Xbox One X title. The Xbox One X is capable of doing 4K 60. This has been said since day one, since it was announced almost 4 years ago at E3. And they said, oh, it's going to run at 4K 60 FPS. So why am I going to go out and buy an Xbox Series X? There's, if it was doing 120, wow, that would be amazing. But let's face it, that's not going to happen. But maybe, like you said, their multiplayer will be 120 FPS.
For Halo, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm taking away from today's event. I was just baffled by some of the titles that they were showing, and there's this one trailer that came out, and it was like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids-esque.
Oh, Grounded, yes. Well, that they had before, so I don't know. Listen, I'm not big on Fortnite, and that's one of the biggest games out there. So I won't, I always say you're not going to Ford to buy a luxury car. You go to Ford to buy a pickup truck. So I've learned to manage my expectations when I'm with what I'm expecting from Xbox. But lately, they've been casting a pretty wide net in terms of their appeal to a broader audience.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that has to do with Game Pass. I think that has to do with their new emphasis on Game Pass. But I'll go to my three negatives, and then we can. It's going to seep into a little bit of over your points, but my first thing was, why was there no gameplay footage for Hellblade 2? I was disappointed in that. You showed this game off at the Game Awards last year. You had in-game footage apparently back then with Unreal Engine 5 now confirmed. You told me it's in Iceland, but they should have had gameplay footage. Had they said, our team has been, we've been really hit by this virus. We haven't been able to get as much progress with the game as we would have liked. I would have been even understanding, but for such a transparent company that Microsoft is supposedly being right now, that was not transparent. I wanted to know why. There's no shame in saying we've been impacted or whatever. So I don't want to sound that was really disappointing for me, because I did like the first game a lot. This could have been epic. Maybe something's up there. I don't know. But let's move on to other games that they didn't show. Fable, yes, they announced it, and our suspicions were confirmed. But that, I don't know if you saw the little hint at the bottom. It said, whenever it said, now you have to do it. It's a stretch, mind you. It's possible that I'm wrong, but every time it said Xbox Series X and PC, that game is going to come out in 2 years, because they've already confirmed that for the next 1.5 to 2 years, every first-party title is going to be supported on the Xbox One family. Right. Telling me that game is at earliest coming February 2022. And I'm disappointed that they are not further along in those kinds of games. I'll give it to Obsidian, because they've been pumping out games. They had Other Worlds. They had Grounded. They have other things going on. So for them to say we finally put finished those projects. We have a DLC for Outer Worlds. Now our priority is this new game called Avowed. It's our baby. It's everything. I get it. But what the heck is going on with these other studios? So that was one thing. Two, I'm very similar to your point. Why are you showing State of Decay 3? Again, I that's not a dig at Undead Labs. But you can, okay, let me rephrase. Had they had 5 or 6 games, maybe with gameplay, and then they say, here's what's to come, and here's the 4 or 5 reasons you need to get an Xbox this fall or holiday 2020, and here's why it's going to be compelling down the line, then you show State of Decay 3, Fable, whatever.
Yes.
They didn't do that.
No.
They didn't do that. And something that bothered me, why not have Halo and a game as a franchise like Fable for the launch?
Right.
Why are they relying just on Halo? It's a solid, like, I can't speak. We didn't play the game. I wanted to see more. It's possible that the next Halo is going to be, it's been 5 years, But even at that, I don't want to blame just the stream, and that's kind of my third point. I don't know that Halo 6 warrants a new console. Unless they tell me, look, the campaign is for native 4K 60 and the multiplayer is 120 FPS. The Series X can handle that. The Xbox One X cannot. At best, the Xbox One X can run this at 1080p 60 or 4K 30. But they weren't transparent about that either.
No.
I will. The one sticking point to this is, yes, technically the One X or this Xbox One X is a 4K 60 console, but those were Microsoft first-party titles like Gears, Forza, Motorsport 7, 8 is being released now. There's games that they could push it, but it was mostly relegated to first-party titles, racing games, and whatnot. You would not see Red Dead. It looks beautiful. It's 4K, but it's only 30 FPS. For me, those kind of games absolutely have to be 4K 60 on the Series X for me to say this is worth it. They didn't drive that home at all. They said, apart from Halo, oh yes, Forza 8, but Forza 8 we know is going to be.
It's always great. It's all yeah. But even when we were at E3 in 2017, when they had the Xbox One X, there was gameplay for Sea of Thieves, Assassin's Creed, a Super Lucky's Tale, the Forza. We had the chance to play that. So there was, we had the ability to play these games. And then when I went back to E3 in 2018, I was able to try Gears 5 at 4K 60 on the Xbox One X. There was nothing for that today. There was nothing. So I have to agree with you there. There's just there. I'm surprised. Like, I feel that Microsoft was, they I don't know if it's the virus. I don't want to keep going back to that. I just feel like they didn't know what to do or how to show off their games for their console. They're so used to presenting E3 type. I just felt like it was E3 show content that they were going to show at E3, and they just slapped on some, some little what do you call it? There's like little dialogues from the studios in between the clips. I just felt like it was just a montage again from May, and it's just.
I will say my expectations were probably a little lower than yours.
Oh,
and I've learned to do that. My problem is this time around they said we're going to show an hour worth of games. He didn't go on. He wasn't quoted as saying, there's going to be only gameplay. But this is where Phil Spencer, I thought, should have been the culmination of him as head of Xbox, and it felt like it's still promising. Don't worry, it's on its way. It's right. It's just I don't like that. Like, we've been waiting, and I'm not impatient. It's not about delayed gratification, but this is a new generation, This is something that should have been planned and put in place before this virus hit. You should have had 2 or 3 like excellent games at launch. We can make fun of the Xbox One all we want, but at launch, they had Rise, they had Dead Rising 3, they had Crimson Dragon something, they had a few other ones. They even had Xbox Fit. Like, they actually pumped out games in short order. They had Titanfall, they had Sunset Overdrive, Halo 5. We can make fun of those games because they're not all of them were excellent, but they had games at the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. And you're making me remember something that happened during the showcase that I couldn't believe when it happened. You're having a showcase for your most powerful console to date, and you show off Tetris as a title.
Oh,
Tetris. I don't even have that. Why would I want Tetris for my Series X? Okay, that just threw me over the edge. And not only that, what was the other DLC? Should have Destiny 2 is in the past, and they show off that it just felt so out of place. Who cares right now? You know,
they had a segment just for Game Pass and said this is why it's just worth your time. They should have had 3 sections. Let's say, how about we do a thing where we say, how would we have structured it? You know, maybe they were limited in what they could show. That's totally a possibility. They should have said something, whatever.
Maybe. But
they kept saying, you know, we've been working hard and no. Okay. Have 1 section gameplay footage. They started off well in that regard. They had Halo gameplay footage. We can argue that footage wasn't to our liking, but they had it. They should have had 3 or 4 big games like that. They had to. That was their chance to count. Well, not retaliate, but answer Sony's conference.
Yes.
Then talk about games that are going to come in the future, and then finally, if you really want to drive Game Pass home, then you put in, well, we've had our show, but here's why it's worth having a Series X and why it's like an even greater idea to have a Game Pass subscription. We have, you know, what did they say? Outer Worlds 2 DLC coming for free. We have Destiny 2 being remastered for Series X with all the DLC. We have all these things. Every game that was shown here today is going to be available on Game Pass. Done. No. It felt a little disjointed.
Scattered, yes, very, very much so. And you know, there's so many things that you know, when I look back at a game that stands out the most to me in terms of gameplay, you know, you look at way back now, I think E3 2004, if I'm not mistaken, or 2003, when Halo 2 was shown off for the first time, and Master Chief is going through New Mombasa. Now, this was a playable demo that we never got to play. This was scrapped ultimately by Bungie. But to this day, people clamor to play. They want to get their hands on this playable demo because it showed new technology. It showed a new style of gameplay for Halo, dual wielding, a battle rifle, just the environment that was, you know, everything was blowing up around you. It was amazing. When I look at today, I can't even remember. Like, it was Master Chief. He had his gun, got in a Warthog, and then just drove into crowds of grunts and used his grapple hook. There was nothing significant. And at the end of the gameplay, you just had a brute yelling at you for 5 minutes that was completely inaudible. I couldn't understand anything that he was saying. He was saying something about fangs to the Master Chief, and it was just yelling, and it just felt so. And then you had a representative from 343 come on after, and it just felt so corporate. Didn't feel gaming, you know, oriented towards gamers. It just felt sloppy. It just felt really out of place. It felt like it was in beta still, and I think that's just. You know, I'm getting a lot of hate on the internet for this right now. I'm getting, you know, I'm a COD fanboy apparently because I'm making these comments and I grew up with Halo, and it's rather unfortunate. and I know I'm focusing a lot on the Halo things just because I grew up with it. And I love Halo so much, and I feel just kind of, and I'm still in shock about what was presented today. And it's just not it's not memorable to me at all. And you know, another thing is that you mentioned earlier about it being open world. What it kind of reminded me was Mass Effect Andromeda in terms of the maps and the style. And what I think is going to happen is that at Halo 5, they tried doing this when there was little sections between levels where you were only like the elite home world, but there was absolutely nothing to do except pick up audio logs. And other than that, it was just barren. I think that's what they're trying to go for in this time around. But what I'm not excited for is I've seen open world games do this. And Halo 3 ODST did this, where if you complete one section, you go to another area of the map, and then you come back to that same section. It's just occupied by enemies again. You're going to go through it, and there's grunts there again. I got to kill them because they're in my way. Come back an hour later. Oh, they're back there again. And it's
Yeah. I made fun of Destiny when it came out because they were copying
Yes.
Halo,
Exactly.
they were copying Star Wars. Destiny's a cop-out, guys. I'm sorry to everyone who likes it, but it didn't work for me at all. It missed the mark completely. And now Halo 343 is copying Bungie with Destiny.
Exactly.
So,
It's just I'm getting that
listen,
disappointment all over again.
We haven't played the game.
No,
we don't know yet. At the end of the day, they didn't show enough from Halo or any other game.
Wasn't the right thing to show.
If they didn't show anything, I think they would have gotten more flack than not showing anything.
Yes, absolutely.
So at least they're showing, look, the game is going to be ready. It looked pretty fleshed out. It wasn't alpha footage here. It looked like they could improve the frame rate a little, but textures, it did not look. Yeah,
character models need to be changed. I find a lot.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's just the stream. I don't know. You can tell it's a cross-generational game.
Yeah.
But if they flesh it out like they intended, and with 343's pedigree, I say, in that they follow up their games, even if it comes out broken at launch, they do follow through. They're still supporting Halo Master Chief Collection. They added 4K HDR recently. All of those titles play at 60 FPS. That's, at the end of the day, I cannot say, there's going to be shit throughout. No. Excuse me for my foul language. But, at the end of the day, I was underwhelmed, but my expectations were already low. So why don't we recap our 3 points from each, and we'll have to end this video because we're getting long here. So, okay. So 3 positive points. Going back to my sheet here. Yes. So Game Pass. We can say all we want about the show, but that service is going to be amazing. It is 100%. It is already such a great value.
Oh yes,
really drove that home. I would say that they might have been at fault for pushing Game Pass a little too much at the expense of showing what maybe they weren't ready, but they should have shown more games. But at least in terms of Game Pass, I'm already sold. I can play several games for the price of what would cost maybe 2 or 3 for the year. So I'm sold. There's also rumors that it's going to be Xbox Live Gold is going to be free. That was not confirmed today, so I don't know. But at the end of the day, great value, very good. Second, The Median, a game that I really feel showcases what the Series X can do. It's out there, yes, granted, and it's niche. But rendering 2 worlds at once and then both have wow, like that's something that the current gen cannot do. The dev said we cannot do it. I'm thrilled to see that's creative, and that's utilizing the power of the newer consoles. And finally, Avowed from Obsidian. Yes, it's a ways out, but Obsidian's pedigree coupled with the backing of Microsoft, they've been completely transparent. I'm happy with that. That could be epic. A little bonus plus is, for me, Metal Jesus rocks. I love that guy. He's never going to get old. Those are 3 positive points for me. Any positive points, Steve?
None for me, my friend.
Moving along. So And then what we thought was meh, 3 points. First being Ori at 120 FPS. Great, cool. That is a great game. But I'm expecting that already.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a game that showcases the console. Then Everwild, great art design, great style. I think there's going to be a lot of charm to that game. No gameplay footage. So diddly squat. And finally, Halo. I wanted to love it. Some of it looked crazy good. The grapple hook is a nice addition, I guess. It's open world, but I needed to see more because right now I'm left it's left wanting a little.
Yes.
Do you have any meh points before we move on to the negative?
No met points for me, but I can
All
definitely
right.
share those points with you.
All right. Now let's move on to the 3 negative.
Yes.
I'll start if you don't mind because I have my points are very short.
No problem.
No gameplay footage from Hellblade 2.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's unacceptable, especially without an explanation as to why.
Mm.
Where was I? Sorry. Yes. Not enough reason for me to say this console warrants my money in holiday 2020. I get the sense that it's going to be worth it end of 2021, beginning of 2022. Maybe that's their plan, but I don't get it. And finally, not enough gameplay in general, and it's kind of slash why are you showing footage for State of Decay 3? Why are you only showing footage for Fable? Why is there no gameplay? It should have been further along. Come on, Microsoft. Those are my points.
Yeah.
Oh, so, and just the caveat to that, Phil Spencer, this should have been the culmination of Phil Spencer's time as head of Xbox.
Yes.
It felt like, come on, man.
Fell short.
And now launch into it, Canadian Steve, please.
I feel like Microsoft is pulling a Bethesda where, they show a little title screen for the next Elder Scrolls game, and then we won't hear about it for another 8 years.
Very good.
I'm very well versed with Microsoft announcing titles going all the way back to 2013, and the games don't come out until 4 or 5 years. Look at Crackdown 3 as an example of that.
Very good point.
So again, you can show off these shiny title screens as much as you want. They mean nothing in terms of for me to buy the next console. And don't get me wrong, I love Xbox, but just again, lack of gameplay and only trailer footage. Very underwhelming gameplay from Halo, and definitely just the titles that were presented. They, like you said, I definitely think when you put titles such as Forza and Hellblade, we should be expecting that these are fantastic games. There should be gameplay for those titles, and the fact that there wasn't, without any reason for there not being, it's just really, really unfortunate. And I just thought that the whole presentation as a whole, it just felt very lackluster and felt disjointed. And I don't know. I was so much excited this morning when the show started. I really think that Microsoft is losing their touch a little bit. For example, the pre-show, putting on a bunch of these Twitch streamers, that it just doesn't resonate with me. It just feels fake. It just feels scripted. It just feels like, oh yes, I really love Xbox and I can't wait for this, and it just doesn't feel authentic.
We're gonna leave Metal Jesus out of this.
Oh, Metal Jesus! Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that guy just as much as you do. So that felt authentic because we all know that his channel is amazing. He loves OG products, and that definitely resonated with me. But I just like as soon as Halo ended, I was like, that's it. That's what we're getting. And then it was one thing after another. I was just like, no. And then when I got to Tetris, I was just like, I'm done. I'm done. Tetris. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I feel that every year I've walked away from E3. I'm like, no, this can't be. This can't, like, come on. And And I've always had people tell me, oh, it's just to cater to the masses. Xbox is wanting to deliver to everybody. It's just these cookie cutter games that they always announce. And I'm thankful that they shoved a lot of those in the pre-show. I was thinking, oh, okay, they're getting those out of the way for the in the pre-show, and they're going to show off the meat in the main show. And no, it's just like, with Cyberpunk 2077 being delayed, that's another game that it was, we kind of already expected that, we were supposed to be playing it already, and that's pretty much it. I just I just feel like a kid going into a candy shop and walking away without any candy. So I just really feel disappointed. And will I say that this is going to make me go for a PlayStation 5? Not even, because I think PlayStation 5 definitely has some titles, but I don't know. I just, there's a lot of people comparing this showcase to the PlayStation showcase, and I don't.
No, they're two different. How about
yeah, it's another topic. Yeah, for another day.
We can talk about it for a few minutes, but I think that would be a good comparison. Right before the launch, we talk about both. But
definitely, yeah.
Let's talk about it for a second here. Just I thought about that, and a friend of mine told me who's more PlayStation inclined. They had some gameplay footage for Ratchet and Clank. They had gameplay footage for a few other games. And he's right. They had gameplay footage. How far along are those games? It's unclear.
Right.
Horizon Zero Dawn, probably 2 years or so. It's unclear. But at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to see a major paradigm shift in how many people are going to levitate towards Xbox versus PlayStation, namely because, they had more gameplay. They had the titles people wanted to see. They are catering to their market, absolutely. And you alluded to this earlier. Did anyone ask for some out there games? No, that's supposed to be bonus. But it seems like Microsoft should have had, we talked about this in our previous discussion, where they should have had 3 or 4 big titles. They had like 1.5. Yeah. For me. Yeah. And a lot of promise. That's fine and dandy, but you need that substance now for me to get interested. So I'm also left wanting from the Microsoft show. Will I get a new console? If I'm being brutally honest right now, from what I saw, no. I can play Halo Infinite on my Xbox One X. I'm sure it's going to run at 60 FPS in some form. I have Ori right now, right? I have Gears 5. Destiny 2, I don't have it, but I could play it if I wanted to. So, yeah, it's on my end, I'm also left wanting.
That's sad. It's we grew up with the original Xbox. We grew up at the launch of the 360. We had the Xbox One, and maybe it is. A lot of people are saying that we've made such leaps in graphical performance that jumping from one console generation to another is just not going to be as apparent anymore as it used to be, where you're seeing all. I mean, I'm not saying that Halo 5 looked fantastic in terms of graphical performance, definitely 100%. I just there's just, like you said, there's nothing making me want to hop online day one and be like, I need this now. I need this today. And that's just a reality that we're in, and that's what we're facing today. And I really was hoping that I was going to, whatever is going to be shown today was going to be like, wow, oh my God. And it just didn't do it for me. So yeah, well, that's where I stand.
State of affairs for Microsoft at the moment, but maybe they can pick it up in August and say, well, here's why. Frankly, they're going to have to do a better job.
100%. Yep.
All right. Well, that was awesome, Canadian Steve.
Definitely.
Until next time, signing out, Balkan Ragnar.
Thank you, everyone. Canadian Steve here, and please, if you let us know what you think in the comment section down below, and if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to our channel and liking this video. We really want to know what you guys think from today's Xbox showcase. It could be negative, it could be positive, it could be neutral, and let us know which console you're going to be pre-ordering on the ever so suspicious pre-order dates. let us know in the comment section below. Thank you once again. This is Canadian Steve signing out. Have a good one.